First of all, let's talk about what was the fall of the socialist bloc in Europe. It all happened between 1964 and 1982. In those years, when the Soviet Union was governed by Leonid Brezhnev, he was that kind of leader who only focused and cared in the power and the economic influence that a country could get. The system that he created in order to transform or to guide the people to a new type of living was totally a failure. His system was based on the excessive spending on arms, the intervention, and corruption. Before this guy died, there were two or three more successors that took his place and governed, but none of them really did a good job. The only change that was supposed to be an important change was made by Gorbachev, who was a notary reformist whose plans were based on two great pillars called perestroika and glasnost. Perestroika proposed a restructuring of the economy, and the glasnost proposed to create a free political system. In comparison, they make a good change, but they wasn't enough. The people of the country began to make revolutions in order to express what they really thought about that. Follow events that we're going to talk about are the events that emerged because of this great unstable situation. First event that I'm going to talk about is the fall of the Berlin Wall and the German reunification. At the beginning, the German government tried to detain the immigration of their people to another country. They want to search for a political change. So finally, they had to accept the new situation and decide to let enter and exit of the country. Now, the citizens of Berlin could travel between the east and west without any problem. The other event is the dissolution of the USSR and the rise of the CIS. The crisis is still there, and the three Baltic republics declared their independence from the Soviet Union. They want to rule and have their own system with their own way, and they wanted to gain control. The most important of this event was Boris Yeltsin, who was the creator of the Commonwealth of Independent States, a plan of the Soviet Union in order to establish an economic alliance. The third event is the unipolar war and the new economic and political world order. As we all may know, unipolarism is the concentration of power in one single polar, the United States of America. It doesn't mean that it is the only one or the most important. It just was established like that because perhaps USA stands as the country with the strongest economic and military capacity in the world. Every single country, for most important or powerful that it may be, needs allies. The European Union was one of them. They could offer the economic, military, and cultural power. Now, the fourth event, that is the Persian Gulf War. This war began in 1990 before the fall of the Soviet Union. It was all about a conflict because one place wanted to invade the other. All the people considered the attacks to be unjustified. There was thousands of weakening relations between both people, but at least one of the sides finally recognized defeat, and in that moment the crucial war was finished. Now that we have already mentioned some of the important events of the last decades, I'm going to describe a really important concept that will help us to understand the way in which the world has changed. This one is terrorism. So what it is the use of violence and threats to intimidate, especially for political purposes, in big countries. The other one is unipolar war, which is a distribution of power in which one state exercises most of the cultural, economic, and military influence. Then we have the digital era, which is the historical period characterized by the existence of digital technology. And what is globalization? Well, it's the process of international integration arising from the interchange of worldviews, products, ideas, and other aspects of culture. Why did the globalization emerge? Well, it emerged because most of the nations need to be a force in the current business environment. They want to have an increasing rate inequality in terms of income distributions. Some countries are sure that they have brought about slow growth and rising inequality, and this has happened both in the developed and the developing nations. Globalization also continues to impact the lives of individuals in every nation of the world. And in most cases, what caused the terrorist attack of 20th century? Well, it caused disasters, death, misery, horror, fear, and terror. Terrorists usually tell what are termed soft targets, which are areas with offer less security. One incident was when suicide bombers attacked the American warship USS Cole. The Cole was in Port Aden, Yemen, to take on the field. The explosion occurred near the galley of the ship where sailors were getting into it, so they were killed by explosives. Other case was in September 9 from 1984 when several hundred people were poisoned by salmonella spores. They had their drinking water contaminated and they don't notice until they already had drank it were already dead. Of course, the deadliest terrorist attack in recorded history was the destroyer of the Twin Towers, whereas its leader planner was Osama bin Laden. This damage was really terrific. Both World Trade Center towers were literally demolished, crashing to the ground. And how does the end of the Cold War lead to the unipolar war? In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, the first of a series of events bringing the period known as the Cold War to an end. It is difficult to see whether or not the world has become more secure following the end of the Cold War. The war is more stable if dominated by fewer number of great powers. The Cold War period was stable because domination was shared between two superpowers, and that's how they led to a unipolar war. They still wanted a new and a different system. They still want to have a different way to rule and to survive. The last 3 decades of our history have circled around a new unipolar system that was constructed as a result of many wars and problems. And how has the digital area influenced today's society? Well, social progress has come to be equated with a technical progress, particularly since the Industrial Revolution. Human society seems ready to evolve through changes so gradual as to be all but imperceptible. The younger generation today, like many previous generations, seeks to change the world. They want to be contributors to peace, economic reforms, the improvement of public services, and many other aspects of the society. For them, the best way to contribute to these changes is through modern technology. They believe that advances in communication through technological means will facilitate social change as no previous generations had the opportunity to learn so much. And that's the best way of looking at the kind of living that waits for us, the most positive way that led us to have a better and good future.